Good afternoon, class. We're going to be working with fractions today. And the first problem we have is this one. It reads, Walt is baking a cake. He has to mix his first two ingredients together. He has one half cup cocoa and 2/3 cup sugar. What is the total amount of ingredients Walt will have after mixing these two? Alright, so I want you guys to turn and talk to your table partner about what you would do first. What order of operation would you use? Would it be multiplication, division, addition, or subtraction? Okay, we're going to bring it back in 3, 2, 1. Somebody raise their hand and tell me what they talked about with their partner. Okay, good. You're going to be using addition. And why'd you pick addition? Because it said total? Good. So when we see the word total, that normally means we're going to be adding all of our different factors together. So what two things are we adding together? Okay, good. So we are adding a half and 2/3. All right, so class, tell me if we can add 1/2 and 2/3 together, just as they are. Raise your hand and tell me. Okay, good. No, we can't because they don't have the same denominator. So that means that the bottom is going to have different values. Okay, so how do you think we're going to change that? Somebody turn and talk to your table partner and tell me how you're going to change these to be the same denominator. Okay, we're coming back in 3, 2, 1. Raise your hand and tell me what you talked about with your partner. Good, you have to find a common denominator. And how do we do that exactly, class? Good, so you have to multiply each side to find that common denominator. But first, I think that we are going to draw this in a model. I think that is the best way that I learn, and I think it'll really help you guys too. So we are going to draw a model, and we are going to be using rectangles. Okay, so we're going to just draw these rectangles like this. We're going to draw two, so that way we can show both fractions. Okay, so make sure you're drawing these out on your whiteboard with me. Okay, so we're going to be showing the first one, and we have a half. Okay, so how do we divide this into two? Good, you draw a line through the middle. So we could either do it horizontally or vertically. What do you guys want? Horizontally? Okay, nice. So we have this horizontal line. So how do you think we're going to separate the other problem? Good, we're going to do it vertically. That way we don't get them mixed up when we're trying to add these two. So, okay, so this is going to be into 2 halves. This is going to be into thirds. Okay, so let's go and shade these in. Okay, so if this is 1/2, how many are shaded? Good, just 1. Okay, and if it's 2/3, how many of these are shaded? Good, so we have the 2/3 shaded. Okay, so right now we have our 1/2 and then we have our plus 2/3. Okay, but remember, we're trying to find the common denominator. Turn and talk to your table partner about what you think they might have in common, like what number they would have in common. Okay, we're bringing it back in 3, 2, 1. Somebody raise your hand and tell me. Okay, we have some that said 4. We have some that said 6. Okay, good. So I can see where you're coming from when you said 4, because 2 times 2 is 4, so you would just multiply that one. But we can't multiply anything to get 4, okay? So we want to find something that we can multiply 2 by and multiply 3 by and have the same denominator. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So what can we multiply 2 by and 3 by to get the same denominator? Okay, good. So if we are looking for the denominator of 6, we would multiply 2 by 3 and 3 by 2. So we're going to just indicate that on our board. Okay, so make sure you guys are writing with me. So we would multiply 1/2 by 3 on both the top and the bottom. We would multiply 2/3 by 2 on, again, the top and the bottom. So if we have, so we're going to show these down here. Okay, so if we have 3/3 multiplied by 1/2, what will we get, class? What is 3 times 1? Good, 3. And then what would we have on the bottom? Good, we would have 6 because remember that's our common denominator. And then we're going to come over here and do this one as well. So it's going to be 2 over 2 times 2 over 3. Okay, so what is 2 times 2, class? Good, that is 4. And then what is 2 times 3? Good, again we have 6. Okay, so we have these, right? But how are we going to show them on here? Turn and talk to your table partner. Okay, come back to me. Good. Okay, somebody raise their hand and tell me how you think we're going to be able to separate these to show them. Okay, good. So we're going to have to divide them into several different pieces. So how do you think we're going to do that? Okay, good. So somebody said that we are going to divide them into 6 parts. And so how we would do that, we're obviously just going to put our lines, okay? So if we want to have, we have 1/2 right now, but we want to have 6 parts. So how many lines do you think we're going to have? Good. So we're going to have 2 separate lines right here, like we did for the 1/3, because that makes us have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different parts. Okay? And how many of these are shaded in out of these 6 parts? Good. 3. So on our whiteboard, under this fraction right here, I want you to do 3 over 6, okay? And then we're going to move on to this next one. So right now we have 3 separate parts. How do we get to 6? Raise your hand and tell me. Okay, good. So like we divided this into different parts, we're going to divide this one as well. But this one is only going to be, boop, just like that. It's just going to have 1 line through the middle, okay? And how many, if we count these up, how many are shaded in? Okay, anybody want to tell me? No? Okay, so let's count together. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to have 4 out of 6. Okay, so now can we add these? We have 3/6 and 4/6. Turn and talk to your table partner about if we can finally add these. Come back to me and raise your hand. Okay, good. Yes, we can finally do it because we have the same denominator. So I want you guys to turn and talk to your table partner about what you think this answer may be. Okay, come back to me in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so what do you think the answer may be, guys? Okay, good. So I heard 7/6. And why do you think that is, guys? Good, because you are adding 3 plus 4, which is 7. And then you are going to keep the denominator. You don't add the denominator once you already have it there. You're just going to add the top 2. So your final answer would be 7/6. And you can also see if you are adding the 3/6 right here and the 4/6 right here, you would get the same number. But I think that the model really shows us what we're doing. So now we know that after that, Walt has 7/6 ingredients with his mixture of the 2. All right, class, we are going to be on our last problem for the day, and that reads, Courtney just made a pot of coffee. Her coffee mug can fit 2/3 of a cup of coffee. If Courtney had 4 mugs of coffee that day, how much coffee did she drink in total? So I want you guys to turn and talk to your table partner about what operation we would use. Since we already used addition, which would be addition and subtraction, what do you think we would use? Would we use multiplication or division for this one? Okay, we're going to bring it back, and I want you to raise your hand and tell me what you and your partner talked about. Okay, good. We would do multiplication because we are going to show 2/3 of coffee several different times. So how do you think we would draw that? Do you guys think we would draw it just like we did for the addition one? Raise your hand and tell me if you think we would. Okay, I see a few hands. Which of you think that we would use a different type? Okay, that's a pretty big portion of you guys. Okay, somebody tell me why you think we're going to do a different model. Good, because it's a different operation. So how do you think we're going to start out with our model? If we want to have 2/3. Okay, good. So like in our first model, for the first problem with addition, we are going to draw just a rectangle, and then we're going to cut it into 3 different pieces. So that means we're going to have 3 lines. So this shows 3/3. So 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. But we have this 4 different times. So what do you think we're going to do? Turn and talk to your table partner. Okay, good. So we're just going to show it 4 different times. So we want to make sure to fill it in. So we're going to have 2/3, and then we're going to draw other models. So this is one group for 2/3, and this is going to be our second group for 2/3. Okay, so are we going to keep going? Good. So this is our third group. Make sure you shade them in on your whiteboard. Alrighty, so we have these 4 different groups. We have 4 2/3, so make sure you write it right under your whiteboard. We're going to show what these represent. Okay, but if we want to do 2/3 times 4, yes, we have our representation right here, but we want to multiply. Another way that we could actually do that, it's called repeated addition, which I know you guys know, so we would just add the 2/3 4 different times, but we want to multiply. So how would we do that? Turn and talk to your table partner about what fraction we would use to multiply 2/3 by 4. Okay, we're bringing it back. Okay, raise your hand and tell me what you and your partner discussed. Okay, good. So you would do the fraction 4 over 1, because that is the same thing as 4. And then you would multiply it by 2/3. So what would be 4 times 2? Good. You would have 8. And then class, all together, what is our denominator? It's 3 times 1. Good. So 3. So if we want to do this in the repeated addition way, we would still get the same answer, which is 8/3. So if we're going to have 1/3 and 2/3, and then we're going to keep adding our shaded. So we have 2/3 shaded, we have 3/3 shaded, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3, 7/3, and 8/3 shaded. So now we have found our answer, both repeated addition and multiplication.